Hey, deserving listeners, Ultimatum. Why did it take me a while my words don't always come out well, as you can tell, but let's see what words come out of my face as I watch the show.
Ourselves come together and like mesh, but I recognize that the other option is that the work that we've been doing on ourselves will push us apart.
I think she's fully recognizing that and being like, I have not been showing up for Haley. I've been putting my needs first and fully neglecting her. That's something that she's realized.
Okay, interesting. So Haley and Pilar been together for 10 years, and Haley is realizing now, after being with Megan for a bit, that Haley is realizing for herself that I don't know if I included this, but she's saying, I'm not good with feelings, and watching Megan be good with her feelings, I'm realizing maybe I should change that about me because I think that's affecting Pilar. But also Haley is telling everyone that she worries that this growth process for the two of them being on the show is actually driving them apart, which, you could see how that conclusion could be made. But anyway, so then Kyle chimes in, trying to help, and I think that is a helpful thing to say, saying like, well, I'm in a trial marriage with Pilar, and she's thinking about you. She's realizing that she's not been showing up to the relationship, and she wants to change that. So the growth process isn't necessarily going to break you guys up. In fact, it might help you.
Now that I have decided to go all in, it is a big question mark because I'm not saying like I'm 100% confident where I'm coming out of this at the end. I think that Megan will always be in my life just because she's had such a profound impact on me. Mm-hmm. I just never could have imagined that's what I was gonna get out of this experience. To be perfectly honest.
Are chokers back in, or did they ever go out? I remember when they came on the scene in '92 or something, and it was quite a thing because there wasn't really an analogous precursor to it that I know of. It looks. I think I put one on once back then, and I thought, oh my God, it's like it jabs you, Maybe if they made them out of like lace or something, but still, I can't even wear a watch. I feel claustrophobic. I mean, the fact that I have a wedding ring on tells you how dedicated I am to, because I can't. I'm used to my wedding ring by now, but I get claustrophobic. I don't like things itching me. I cut all the tags off everything.
As an ultimatum giver was not what I was expecting.
This shit is just so hard. I didn't expect any of the things that have happened to happen.
Okay, so I think that is saying, and maybe she's just saying that, but if we believe her, that she did not expect to connect with someone in the trial marriage, and maybe even told Dana as much. So I don't know. I'm trying to find clues as to what the agreement was, if there was one, between the couples going into the trial marriage, because that shapes everything. If Dana had told Megan, I'm not going to connect with anyone, I just want to see you try out someone else, or maybe this whole process, or maybe we'll get some Instagram followers or something, but I'm not actually going to give it a shot. And then she does, and Megan sees evidence of that and is absolutely betrayed by that. Or was it something completely... Anyway, so there's a little tick in the column that Dana might have told Megan, I'm not going to connect with the trial marriage.
I feel like I've just cracked. I almost left last night, to be honest. I don't know that I have a future with Megan.
Oh, what Dana might be referring to is, I did not expect Megan and I to break up. I didn't expect Megan to become so angry and so rejecting of me. So I think that's probably what she's referring to.
Why do you say that?
Why? Yeah, I was gonna say why.
Well, we spoke. She actually just simply didn't give a fuck that I exist. Megan knows how much it takes for me to like ask for help or like fall apart. I don't do that shit.
Okay, so the theme with Dana and the data presented from her is attachment style education that I'll provide. So that's a tick in the column of avoiding attachment, in that for avoidantly attached people, they have a hard time with vulnerability. They even have a hard time feeling feelings because as a 2-year-old, they neurologically shut down because it was easier that way. the emotions are still there, but they're cut off from their body and their emotions. And so she's talking about that, and she also said she has a hard time asking for help. And that is an absolute hallmark of avoidant attachment. Now, it's possible that if I were to assess her formally, that I would characterize her as preoccupied, anxious, with some asterisks. Like myself, I test out at secure, but if I look more in depth on my own attachment reactivity, when pressed, I will react with avoidance for sure. But when I am pressed, when I am threatened attachment-wise by someone who is even more avoidant than me, then I act preoccupied. So what do you call that, right? Officially, it's secure attachment, which is most people test out at secure attachment. But in a pinch, I am avoidant, and in a different kind of pinch, I'm anxious. I don't have any disorganized or fearful attachment in me because I was raised relatively well. So I don't have any of that, but so that's the way I describe it. I'm 70% secure, 20% avoidant, and 10% preoccupied, or 25% avoidant, 5% preoccupied.
And like knowing that she is like who she is to me, to like tell me that she just doesn't care. I don't recognize the person I came here with.
I feel like Pilar is feeling similarly.
If Pilar is feeling some kind of way about the way that
Wait, a lot of things are happening, so let's rewind that.
I don't recognize the person I came here with.
So she said that on the phone, I believe. She's like, who even are you? I don't even... And there's a number of ways to interpret that. One is through the enmeshment lens and the bulldozing lens and the demand that, I don't know if it's present, but there's minor yellow flags that Dana put a lot of demands that Megan said that she's a ultra pleaser. Right? It sounds like Megan is on the high end of the spectrum of a pleaser, and has a lot of developing and maturing and differentiating to do to connect with her, so that she can feel confident and assert herself, and she needs trust and relationships and non-bulldozy people to be with. Anyway, so so one angle of that, of like, I don't even recognize who you are, is like that, if that message, that enmeshed relationships, which might have come from her mom, who knows, that if you're not completely of me and we're not completely of one, then I don't even know who you are. And it'll feel that way, right? So there's that. There's also, I think, the rational reactivity of just like, wait, what happened? Because for Dana, she didn't see the progression that Megan went through, right? Dana breaks up with Megan at the choice ceremony and everything's fine-ish, right? Megan's with someone else and I'm with someone else, and okay, whirlwind, da-da-da. Oh, I'm connecting with Mel. Oh, we bumped into him in the pool. Well, that was awkward. Anyway, and then the next time Dana, in a pinch, reaches out to Megan, she gets this like extreme reaction to her from Megan. Now, we kind of have some background on it, but it still was probably a little hasty. I think it would have been more prudent. Megan can do whatever she wants and she can break up whenever she wants. But if I were her friend, I would say, well, a lot is happening right now. And yes, she did blow you off at the pool, I guess. It's hard to know. We don't know what she was thinking. So it might be advisable to kind of wait until the trial marriages are over, reconnect with Dana, have a conversation, and wait to draw any firm conclusions, and for sure wait to do anything about it. But if I was also in a friend role and Megan was just like, I don't know, I've been struggling a lot with Dana and being separate, because that's another thing, is like Megan might not have ever been allowed to really think for herself. And it's possible that Megan, when she would bring up concerns and indicate to Dana that there is a concern, Dana would bulldoze it. Who knows? And this is the first time she's been able to have concerns and just let it breathe, right? And is like realizing something. So I think that there's a number of different angles to interpreting what Dana is going through. I think there's a lot of health and rational thought and feelings to what Dana is going through. You know, she went into the trial marriages expecting to reconnect with Dana, with Megan, and all of a sudden, boom. You know, so it's very, very surprising.
I feel like Pilar is feeling similarly.
And then Kyle says, I think Pilar is feeling similarly. And I'm thinking, what? Pilar is, I think Kyle might not be understanding what Dana is saying, right? Pilar is feeling similarly to Dana. Pilar wants to break up with Haley because Haley's a jerkface. I don't know. Let's see.
If Pilar is feeling some kind of way about the way that I'm acting, I have put my feelings aside for a long time. I don't want to be a tyrant to Pilar after this, but I just want to meet in the middle a little bit more. Yeah. But Dana, I think that this is just how Megan wants to deal with it. I know that.
That's interesting. I wasn't picking up on that, but those word choices are interesting. I don't know if Haley is just saying tyrant because of the ultimatum, but I wonder if it's actually some comment on the dynamic that Haley is more of the taskmaster or more of the bulldozer. I don't know. I haven't seen any indication of that. The Haley-Pilar relationship is not analogous to the Dana-Megan relationship, right? At least on the surface. Who knows?
You guys had a conversation. I was not present for it. I didn't hear
See, like, I don't
anything.
believe that, though. I am telling you, I've known this girl my whole life. I did not recognize this person. I literally was like, is this Megan? Like, I misread you, and I'm a little confused on what your intentions are. Why is Megan, like, fueled by anger?
Okay, I'm confused as to what exactly is being communicated. Things are getting a little bit more heated, so it's normal to, from an outsider's point of view, understand, even from an insider's point of view, because people are just kind of reacting and not slowing down to explain things. But I think Dana might be saying to Haley, are you infecting Megan with something? I think that's what she's saying right now.
From what Megan's been hearing, you've been taking the experience very seriously. And the fact that you guys haven't been speaking, I think that neither of you were assuming good intent from the other.
Okay, yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I think accurate and helpful and not defensive, right? Haley could have been like, back off, you know, instead she's like, I think Megan is misinterpreting things and is hurt, you know, which is a charitable way of putting it. I think if Haley were to be honest, I think she would say, I think Megan is reflecting on your entire relationship and is seriously questioning and has answered the question that she doesn't want to be with you. Instead, Haley's like, I think there's a lot happening and I think you're both misinterpreting each other and it's spun out of control.
I'm sad that she's just going in an opposite direction.
I don't think it's fair to say that she's reverting. Like, she's done so much work.
She is resenting me and hating me.
Yeah, I don't think the other cast members understand the conversation. I think it would be easy, especially when you meet Megan, the way that Dana is describing it. And if anything, Dana is not really fully describing it, what I think was happening on the phone. I think Megan was going off on Dana, the way Dana was reacting for a long time, you know? So I think it's hard for the other cast members, Haley included, to understand. Now, maybe Haley was there during the conversation, but it doesn't sound like it. And by the fact that we don't have video footage of the Megan side of the conversation, you know, because the only reason why we have that video is because there's a security camera that was filming Dana on the phone. So presumably if Megan were home, the security camera would have been included, right? Yeah, I think that it's hard for them to imagine, and I think they're thinking that Dana is overreacting. But given my guess as to what Megan was saying on the phone, I don't think Dana is really overreacting.
Is that your own brain playing tricks on you?
No, I talked to her and that she confirmed everything I said. She was like, go home, have a safe flight. I'm sorry, Haley, but like, what has she learned? Because she's actually like digressed, in my opinion.
She's making a ton of growth.
Digress, I think she means regress. And if she means regress, I wonder what she is saying. Like, it's a regression to immaturity? Like, what's the regression? Or just regressing in terms of your love for somebody? I don't know.
It just might not be the growth that you're expecting.
So if I'm going to point out pros and cons, strengths and weaknesses, Dana's depiction of it was, I think, level-headed under the circumstances, and she didn't, go after Haley the way other people might have. So that shows differentiation and maturity. Not that Haley deserved Dana to go after her, but because she didn't. But deserve doesn't always play into reality TV behavior, right? Or behavior.
As her trial wife, Dana and I are very similar in a lot of things, and that's why we chose each other. What she explains to me is that she's there for you a lot, and you are always her person. She loves you, she relies on you, she needs you. And I know that she felt yesterday she really needed you, and you didn't show up.
Yeah, I think Mel is being diplomatic about it because that's the nicest way to put it, I think. Maybe not nice to Megan, but I think another way to put it is you were unfairly hostile and rejecting of Dana. I think Megan could say something in her words along those lines, but instead she's just like, yeah, she was in a bad place and she was reaching out to you. I don't think we knew that Dana was in a bad place. I think Dana was, at least on the surface in the edit, she met up with her mom and her mom was saying, oh, I love Megan. And I was wondering if Dana was just reminded of Megan. I was like, I miss her and I want to reach out, because it kind of had that look to it. But I also wondered if it was an offshoot, a result of Dana's enmeshment with mom, that mom is indicating that mom kind of wants Megan and Dana to be together. And so that just, pushes her in a particular direction. She reaches out. So to me, it looked like Dana was just reaching out to Megan just to say, I miss you and how are you doing or whatever. Or do you still love me?
And I want you to understand what the difference is, because it's important. When I feel like I need help, I will ask for help.
And she doesn't do that.
And she doesn't do that. She didn't initiate a conversation saying, I'm going through a really tough time. I need you to show up for me. I don't know what to do. I'm breaking up with you. I'm going home. This isn't for me. I don't want to marry you.
Okay, interesting. Megan is talking about last night, but she's also talking in general that when Dana is suffering and needs help, either with something in her life or she's hurt by Megan or something, what Megan is saying is she doesn't reach out for help in a healthy way. She accuses and breaks up. So that can look, if we're in the realm of talking about attachment style, that can be an indication of avoidant attachment, but it also can absolutely be an indication of preoccupied attachment, in that preoccupied anxious people will, not all, but a segment of them will, depending on their level of healing and their type and their intensity of attachment and security, will threaten breaking up, even though they don't really want to break up. So I wonder if she called, there was a bit of pushback, and then Dana made that threat of just like, well, I'm going to leave. I don't want to be, or so, I don't know. It's speculative. But at least from Megan's perspective, Megan will say, hey, you hurt my feelings, or hey, I need help with this. But when Dana needs help, she says, I'm breaking up with you. And then, for the preoccupied people that do that, they're fishing. They're like, I can't believe you do this to me. I'm leaving you. And they don't actually want to leave, but they're hoping the person will go, oh my God, what happened? And then they'll pursue. And sometimes relationships can have that dynamic, actually. And it can become just part of the routine, right? Some of you might have experience with that from either side, honestly. So let's rewind that. What did Megan say?
When I feel like I need help, I will ask for help.
And she doesn't do that.
And she doesn't do that. She didn't initiate a conversation saying, I'm going through a really tough time. I need you to show up for me. I don't know what to do. I'm breaking up with you. I'm going home. This isn't for me. I don't want to marry you.
Yeah. If that happened last night, that would be strange, right? Because Dana was just reaching out of just wanting to reconnect. So are we hearing from Megan that Dana called up Megan and just started saying, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I'm leaving. I'm breaking up. That doesn't seem likely. If I was to take a guess, I would say that Megan in this complaint is accurate for the most part, but it has to do with their whole relationship. And then when she saw her at the pool, it just caused all the things that I was wondering about, speculating about and then the reflection. And then, okay, I'm done with her, and I'm hearing that they're connecting and da-da-da. And so I'm moving on. And then Dana just calls up innocently to reconnect. And Megan had either very initial, like, I think we're done kind of stuff, or it kind of got to there in the conversation. So what she's talking about here is not a reflection on exactly how the conversation went the night before.
It's like, why would I even think that you would need me in this time when you're just telling me this? I want to know who in their right mind would think that.
You know her, though. You know.
Yeah, but you know what? But here's the thing, though. Just because I know it doesn't mean that I'm going to enable it.
You're being extra about it.
No, I'm not.
Personally, that's how I feel. She didn't say that.
But that's your opinion.
Why. Do you show patience? Do you
Yes.
show understanding? Are
Yes.
you sure? Because I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if Mel knows enough to say anything about this. How could Mel know? She has Dana's account or vibe, but there's not enough to go off of. To me, it sounds like I've said this before, they're having a conversation about Megan not being there for Dana, but there's a much more fundamental question because they've essentially broken up. Megan has essentially broken up with Dana, I think, over the phone, at least 90%. So, yeah, when the person that you want to break up with calls you, it's not going to be your first priority to like support them in their emotional, especially if you're really angry, I think the way that Megan is.
She's so scared that well, something's going on with Haley. She's freaking out, dude.
Who wouldn't be scared? I'm doing my own thing.
Right. So I think if I'm just taking a guess, based on what we saw in the edit, I think Dana was calling Megan just to connect, and then things went horribly in that conversation. They end the conversation, and then Dana goes to Mel and processes, and I think Dana, at least in part, was locking in on Haley they're either connecting, Megan and Haley, or Haley has infected Megan somehow or something. That, I don't even recognize, she would say, I don't even recognize Megan. So there must be some outside force, instead of wondering, well, maybe it's Megan, And that's one of the enmeshment protocols, is that when someone that you're enmeshed with is doing something opposed to you, you can't accept that it's coming from that person, because that would mean that they're a separate person and that you're not one, right? It must be that someone else is forcing them or influencing them to do this to me, right? That's what protects that enmeshment, because the goal is to re-enmesh, and if we're going to re-enmesh, then I have to uphold the narrative that we are one, and that we are forever, and we are 100%, and we are never opposing in our hearts, you know what I mean? So now Dana didn't show a lot of indication of that, but some.
It like physically tears my life apart. Megan, she's my whole existence and like being. But I can't live without Mel either. So I don't really know what to do, and I know it sounds so selfish.
Do you guys like each other?
There's feelings there. Whatever capacity it is, I just need her in my life.
Okay, they edited that. Maybe just for brevity, but I'm going to take a guess and say that Dana said something along the lines of, there's a connection there, but we don't plan on being together after the trial marriage is over. But we are connecting and we do want to stay friends. I think maybe that's what she said. I'm not sure. They cut something off there, though. There's like an abrupt cut. So I don't know, but just speculative. It just raises questions. It's also possible that even if she did say that, that's not the truth. I mean, there's certainly a lot of chemistry going on between them, but there's some indication that the two of them are not planning on staying together. The way that Mel is even talking to Megan, it could be argued that Mel is actually trying to get Megan to stop being hostile. If Mel wanted to be with Dana, then when Megan starts talking crap about Dana, if you're Mel, you're just going to stay out of it. It's like, well, continue thinking that, because I don't want the two of you together. Whereas Mel, in her way, was trying to get Megan to stop doing that, right? So I think that however close Dana and Mel got, at least for the most part, they're not planning on breaking up with their original partner.
I haven't had
Really?
like the safe space that she's given me in so long. She is just so there. I don't even know how to like ever like repay her.
Right. I'm just looking for clues, but that phrase, I don't know how I'm ever going to repay her. That sounds like our relationship will be over in that capacity. And I just don't know how, because if you were planning on being with Mel, you'd say, well, I don't have to think about that because I have our whole lives together to repay her, so to speak. Anyway. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. I want to continue giving shout-outs to those Two Corn YouTube members. We have Paola and Miranda and Eileen and Moira and Lily and Jenny and Lindsay Compton and D Cookie Monster 25, Krista McCarthy, Adriana, Nikki, good old Junie Desiree, good old Ann Deedham, Beatrice Carter, Sonia, Natalie Paints, Megan, Carwan, and Michaela. I'll continue reading the list. These are all the people that signed up, I think, in the first month. And also, we have Junie Desiree and Ann Deedham, who, and Paola and Fernando, and also Brittany Lopez. These folks are not only long-term members, but they're also upper tier. So that's even more special. I love you all, and I love some just, a little bit more in a brighter color. Anyway, everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.